Well, let me start with first things first, that you either as a mom or a pregnant woman, you either fall into one of two camps. You
Hmm.
either absolutely love being pregnant or you really don't enjoy it at all. And
That.
girls, like that is the best. That's when they look the best, right? But
Oh, you mean your breasts?
yeah, I
Oh,
mean
okay.
they're growing,
I'm
but
like,
just
where?
just like
There is subtleties and similarities that run across all pregnancies that have become commonalities, but not normalities. Back pain, shoulder pain, rib pain,
let's
vaginal
just
canal pain,
let's just
birth canal
call
pain,
it internal lightning bolts.
into the vaginal tract.
Yes.
Yeah, into the birth canal.
Oh, as babies start to grow and develop, your entire biomechanics change. And I mean, our bodies are super amazing. They're so smart, and that's when relaxin starts to flow for everything to get loosey goosey and relaxed. But that there has to also be someone to be able to make sure everything is aligned properly. A certified pediatric chiropractor comes in and assesses to make sure, okay,
Because women are designed to give birth, they're designed to conceive children, and to be able to do it on a normal basis without lots of pain, without low back pain, without leg pain. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Prime Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Skip Wyss, and I am here with the amazing, wonderful Dr. Fairy Fingers, Dr. Julie Wyss, the coach, the entrepreneurial expert, and also expert in all things pelvic floor and birth. Dr. Julie, how are you doing? I love you so much. It's so nice to have you here.
I'm great.
Yeah, and we're coming at everybody live from where? Where are we
We
right
are
now?
in the Legacy Life Studios, media
Yes.
studios here in Green Bay. So we're super excited for our new set. It's going to continue to evolve.
They've seen it evolve from blank walls to then color to then now we've got this going on, and it's just every time we do this it seems to change each time, which might date the episodes every
Maybe
now
we'll
and then.
just start like hiding something in here and see if somebody can, like, where's Waldo, find something.
Yeah, and exactly, like what can we put up? We're like, remember, like our coach, she hides her dog on her dog's always on her lap. You need a blanket anyways. You look fabulous today, by the way. You're in your green. You look absolutely radiant, doesn't she? She always looks good, like just fantastic, like a boss, ready to lay stuff down. And today we're talking all things pregnancy, common symptoms, all that kind of stuff coming in. Now, Dr. Julie, I want you to just lead this conversation off for me and talk about birth.
Well, let me start with first things first, that you either as a mom or a pregnant woman, you either fall into one of two camps. You
Hmm.
either absolutely love being pregnant or you really don't enjoy it at all. You
That.
just love the after effect of
Hmm.
having a baby. I fall in that second camp.
What's
Just
that
be
camp?
I was miserable
Yeah.
while I was pregnant.
Hmm.
And so I think that's why these topics today are so super important because, again, if like everything that we do in our clinic, everything that we talk about is because we had to learn firsthand.
Hmm.
And like that's our biggest mission of letting people know that there's other options. It doesn't have to always be us,
Yep.
but that there are other options and to be open and to understand that. And that's truly what informed consent is. And so, man, I just think back, if we would have known all of these things back when we were pregnant, of it could have been totally different birth stories.
Well, I remember when we found out we were pregnant, and I remember the denial. You were not happy. We went through 3 pregnancy tests plus a digital error-proof test that read error. Okay, it actually came. It's
But I
supposed
mean,
to be
if we put
error-proof.
it back into perspective, I mean,
Yeah.
we were newly married,
Yep.
just like the stress load of graduate school. I mean, nowadays, if we add in all the additional environmental factors and stressors, like
Hmm.
that is a leading cause of infertility. And that we were still able to get pregnant with the amount of stress
Hmm.
that was going on at that time.
Well, yeah, I think the stress is actually what threw off all of basically our natural family planning. That's so we did get pregnant, and we were pregnant a month, basically, I think a month or 40 days after we were married, because we got married in July. You were pregnant in August into September, somewhere in there. And then Peyton was here 10 months later. And you went through the gamut, guys. Julie actually took her Part 4 boards, which is a massive lab practical, while having contractions for 4 hours. And then Peyton was born about 9 days later, something like that. And now Peyton's here. But you dealt with a lot of things during pregnancy that a lot of our moms deal with, really common symptoms that bring them into our office all the time. And I remember with you with Peyton, one of the biggest ones early on in your pregnancy was your severe low back pain. You got severe low back pain where you couldn't move. We actually had to have Reiki done on you. I remember that. That's when I actually started to believe that actually Reiki works, because I didn't know what was going on. Like, I'm in school. So, I mean, you're pregnant and I'm learning how to take care of pregnant moms. And there you were in severe low back pain. What was going through your mind at that time?
It was debilitating of
Yep.
like why anybody would ever want to have a baby and go through these things. But also understanding that, gosh, if somebody hadn't said something, right, to know that there's alternatives, and maybe not just one thing, but there's multiple things to help. If it's that low back pain, there's multiple things that can help that. But what is that foundation?
Well, number one, I had no idea how to take care of pregnancy at that time. Like, I had no clue because I was in school. So my mom, Chipper Wyss, best lady on earth, stepped in and said, hey, maybe you should think about getting Julie over to Heidi, a Reiki master, and trying to get her low back, the energy to move, and to start getting her body to heal. And I thought that was kind of crazy. I'm like, and I loved Heidi. I knew Heidi very well. And that was a huge deal when you laid there on that table and she did nothing but just placed her hands on you. And within an hour, your back started to change. Actually, within minutes, wasn't it? I can't fully remember.
I just know that I couldn't actually get out of bed. So yeah. I don't remember even.
We got you over there.
How
got you down to her
there.
basement. Got you. I mean, and got her into her massage studio because she's a massage therapist as well. And we saw that change and that debilitating low back pain. I think Heidi was amazing with that. But again, that's channeling the body's ability to heal itself, because women are designed to give birth. They're designed to conceive children and to be able to do it on a normal basis without lots of pain, without low back pain, without leg pain. But a lot of the times we get this massive misalignment and imbalance in the low back and in the pelvis. And unless you see a chiropractor that actually fully understands how to take care of your pregnancy, you're actually not going to do much for it. And when I look at it as a student, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I couldn't get you better. And I couldn't, because your pregnancy with Brecken was totally different. And that was 2.5 years into being in clinic here, like in Green Bay, and I knew how to take care of you. But that low back pain was incredibly debilitating. What did you feel was the difference to you from your pregnancy between Peyton and Brecken?
Chiropractic care. You know, I'm sure we'll probably go through the analogy of the hot air balloon.
You can go through it right now.
But I think chiropractic has a huge impact. And what I think people don't understand is it's not just bony structures, right, that are being moved. Like our babies are held within muscles and ligaments in the uterus. And if those things are angry and they're not talking to each other, right? Like they're going to be
Oscar the Grouch angry.
Yeah, they're angry. They're going to be tight, and it's not going to allow for the best environment for a baby. And so, yeah, we need to make sure functionally, mechanically, structurally, the bones are where they need to be, but those bones are held in place by ligaments and muscles. And if all of those things aren't addressed, we're still going to have a structural issue.
Well, and those muscles are all controlled by the nervous system. Like they're just honestly, they're just pieces of meat that have no idea what they're doing. They just kind of write their own program unless the brain's fully talking to them. Yep, the brain tells them the right program to do. And you can see pelvic floor therapists. You can see a lot of different therapists, but unless they can get the nervous system back to talking to those particular muscles, the uterus, the placenta, the different ligaments that are coming off the pelvis, both front, back, and sides, you're not going to get those muscles to do what they're supposed to do because they don't get the right communication from the brain to that area to control it.
We can massage them all that we want. We can lotion them, thump on them, but yeah, it's definitely that communication and letting the body know that, okay, we need these to relax. We need baby to be able to move into position. I think that's the biggest thing of when, something isn't doing what it's needing to do, baby's ultimately not going to be in the best position. And if we think about it, 10 centimeters is
That's it.
not that
It's 5
much.
inches.
And
Roughly.
even if you are absolutely perfect, right? But then if we are being told that we need to labor on our back, that automatically changes that opening already.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have mechanical imbalance or ligaments or something's not aligned, maybe that hole moves a little bit more cockeyed. Maybe we get a little bit of rotation in there. And now we have to push this baby out, not this nice, perfect opening. So
Right.
being able to do anything and everything just to be able to have the opportunity to have those full 10 centimeters and, the least amount of resistance and
well, ain't nobody got time for a cockeyed
oh,
uterus and placenta and a
no.
cockeyed pelvis, for lack of a better word. But I like that you went there, a cattywampus.
Cattywampus,
Nobody's got time for a
yeah.
cattywampus pelvis either, even men. But looking at that and talking to you about your 2 pregnancies that you had, and we have a lot of moms that we see in our office that have multiple, like make you look like an amateur. They'll have like 6 to 8 babies.
I am not an amateur.
But I'm telling you what, like, there is subtleties and similarities that run across all pregnancies that have become commonalities, but not normalities. They become common, like back pain, shoulder pain, rib pain. Another big one that you had with Peyton was tremendous amount of rib pain. I remember every night tractioning your hip and moving your ribs and getting them to audibly move because Peyton was pushing up into your rib cage so hard, and they push underneath your liver. And that's really hard because if the pelvis isn't in the right position, babies will have a tendency to translate up, and they never go up underneath your stomach. They go up underneath your rib cage. Underneath your liver.
Babies are going to do whatever they need to survive, and they're going to, they don't
whatever
they don't care
position they need to get
what
into.
position it is. They're going to move around.
Mm-hmm.
Our bodies are super amazing. They're so smart, and that's when relaxin starts to flow for everything to get loosey goosey and relaxed. But that there has to also be limitations, and there has to be someone to be able to make sure everything is aligned properly.
Exactly. And loosey goosey is the word, because near the end of that pregnancy, 36 to 40 weeks, that relaxin hormone is actually kicking in full strength, getting all of that soft tissue and ligaments to relax. Now, with rib pain, Dr. Julie, a lot of the times moms get it right underneath their liver. So it'll be on the right-hand side, and they'll feel it push up, they push out. They'll get that itching, that numbness. Their ligament, their skin will feel like it's starting to tear, or like it's
it feels
a lot
like
of burning.
The internal burning pain of like, oh my gosh, I feel like they're scratching their way out.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that comes from an imbalance as well from the pelvis, but also an imbalance from basically right where the rib cage comes around, because everything's pushing up and moving out, which then segues me into a very specific symptom that a lot of moms get, is that itching. And that can be a couple things. MDs and OBs will look at that and say it's a possibility of like closasis or PUPS, but a lot of the time it's a stretching of the skin.
Yeah, most times I would say yes, definitely the stretching of the skin. And like breast tissue is like, that's like when girls, like that is the best. That's when they look the best, right? But
you mean your breasts?
Yeah,
okay.
they're growing, but
like,
just like
where are we going with
everything
this?
is stretching and growing, and to understand that needs to grow, that needs to change. Different lotions and coconut oil and oils in general, just to keep the skin happy.
Yeah, and that also is, in my mind, is kind of, it works and it doesn't work. So what are some of the recommendations? You used a lot of you used coconut oils. You use different oils to help reduce, I don't want to say reduce stretch marks, but actually help your skin expand and move and keep its elasticity.
Like wintertime, right? If you like wintertime, if you're constantly dry, what do? You lubricate, you add the lotion. And it's not like you're going to be doing this forever. And so this is where we need to give the body the extra lotion, the extra moisture to help as that skin stretches, because the body can't keep up to it.
Right. And trying to keep up to that and helping, because baby's rapidly expanding inside.
But your vitamin A, vitamin C, lanolin,
All of that.
almond oil, coconut oil.
Okay, that helps a ton. Vitamin C is a big one for helping skin elasticity too.
Collagen.
Collagen. Okay, awesome. Well, that helps a lot. Now, another thing that we see during pregnancy, a lot of our moms come in with, and they will light me up on text messages, is restless leg syndrome, where their legs, when they're trying to sleep, their legs feel like they have to constantly be moving, or they feel like they're constantly moving, like the skin is crawling.
Yeah, like get stuff crawling up.
Yep, they feel like they got ants underneath their skin, or ants in their pants, some people would like to say, but they can't quite fall asleep and get these legs to shut off. Now, commonly, chiropractors will recommend magnesium. Yes, magnesium does help with leg cramping and muscle tension, but one of the biggest things that is overlooked is iron. And iron is a massive thing. Checking ferritin in our moms is huge, because a lot of the times they'll go into their MD, their OB, I don't care who it is, they'll mention it and they get blown off. And it's not okay.
Well, I mean, if you look at what stage you are in pregnancy, right? Like, baby needs to start that blood flow.
Yeah, they're going to start grabbing
But
from
even
you.
before, I can't even say a percent, but let's even say 50% of the population is probably iron deficient.
Yep.
Right. And so the numbers that we're seeing in charts are just to get by. And I always say, like, our patients that we see, I don't want you to just get by. I want you to be thriving. And so looking at those numbers, your numbers need to be above those numbers.
Yep.
So if you're already deficient before you come pregnant, like, there's no doubt that you're going to be
If you're already
iron
anemic,
deficient. You're going to be anemic once, the further along you get in pregnancy.
That's the key word that a lot of women out there and men, husbands out there, they hear this word anemic, but it doesn't click in their mind that anemic means iron deficient. So their MDs will go in and they will go and collect a hemoglobin. They will check a hematocrit, and they'll check iron, but they'll check iron 4, not iron 3, Fe3 instead of, they'll do Fe4, and those stores will look okay. But then they'll see the hemoglobin might be down a little bit, and then if they see the hemoglobin's down enough, then they start getting crazy, and then they'll check the ferritin. But if they would just check iron ferritin first and check that, they will see the tremendous amount of women are extremely depleted. So what are some things that you found that work really, really well that help increase the iron in our moms?
I mean, we can talk supplements. Like, we have a really great liquid iron.
Yep.
Ferrofood works really, really, really well. But I mean, if we want to get back to really as quick as we can increasing that iron, it's organ meats, it's red meats.
Yep.
And so, like, that's
liver.
The struggle is, if you're not eating animal products, then we definitely need high volume. We need a lot of supplemental iron.
Well, you can eat iron-containing vegetables like Swiss chard and other things that are extremely bitter.
You need wheelbarrows full.
But you need wheelbarrows full. So you need to bring in different type of supplementation. Now, the one thing that we use a lot in our office through standard process is Ferrofood, because Ferrofood it's a 1 to 2 capsule a day, but it's also derived from a ton of green leafy vegetables. So it allows a building process of iron in the body. It builds up. It takes time, something that you should be doing preemptively before you're pregnant, but also it doesn't constipate our moms. When they take cheap iron, they get constipation. And most of our moms that come in, and you find this all the time across, and I actually have it wrote down on here, we find it all the way across on pregnancy, is constipation is a common symptom. So if we're adding iron in to try to decrease restless leg syndrome or actually increase our iron content in our blood, we may notice a bunch of constipation. And if we're already constipated on top of it, nobody ain't got time for just backed up bowels like crazy. Like, that's literally.
I think that's sometimes a really good sign to tell if you're on a good iron supplement or not.
If you're backed up, like, you shouldn't be constipated.
You shouldn't be constipated, and I think that's if we go back to just a traditional, hey, I found out I'm pregnant, and you go in and see your primary, and it's like, make sure you start that prenatal vitamin.
They'll give you over the counter crap.
And it's just, while you want to do best for your baby, there needs to be research put in and look at other options for a really, really good prenatal vitamin.
Or a prenatal regimen. Like, that's really what it is a prenatal regimen. It's not so much one vitamin fixes it all. You need a regimen. You need a good multivitamin. You need good vitamin D. You need good fish oils in. You need good iron in. It's a regimen. It's a group of things to allow that body to then help the new body being created.
You got to eat for two.
Yeah.
Like that's what we need to remember.
Eat healthily for two.
Correct.
And the other side of it then is we've commonly talked about this too with our moms, is there is the whole thing where they'll say like you need to eat for two, but you need to eat healthily for two. And remember that little baby in there, which would some consider like it's almost parasitic. It's gonna leach everything from you that it needs. It's gonna take it from you, so then you become deficient, and then that leads to deficiency in baby. But that's where we need to bolster that with really good nutrition. So we got links in below that you guys can check out from Standard Process to go. And if you want to get some of these supplements, you can to help both pre-pregnancy, during, and postpartum. But now when we went through restless leg syndrome, a lot of that has to do with iron. So if some of our moms actually have to end up getting iron infusions, iron transfusions, which do help over time, they help really fast. But then we need to keep those iron stores up to help with pregnancy.
It's also pelvic misalignment, right? And so as babies start to grow and develop, your entire biomechanics change. And so that pressure is going to change within your sacrum, within your pelvis. And so again, that's where a certified pediatric chiropractor comes in and assesses to make sure, okay, the brain's able to talk to the pelvic floor, that's able to talk to the muscles, the ligaments, the nerves in that area to decrease those restless legs.
Webster technique certified. Huge deal. Pregnancy certified. Now, another big one that our moms deal with when they come in is heartburn. Ugh. Heartburn is a killer. Like, it is so hard on our moms. I remember first pregnancy with Peyton, you had bottles of Tums.
You had
no idea.
I never had morning sickness.
Right.
So I was not blessed with that. But I had heartburn the entire pregnancy.
It was bad.
9 months.
It was bad. It was bad. And way different from Peyton to Brecken with heartburn. And that's because you got your acid right in your stomach, which is another thing. So
I think we need to parlay that typically heartburn is not because you have too much acid. Many times it's because you don't have enough acid.
Yep. So trying to increase that with different products, different hydrochloric acid supplementation. But also everything's pushing up. So as babies in mom developing and pushing up, we're going to push up the stomach, push up the lungs. Everything is becoming more centered, more higher in the chest for the moms as babies expanding down, out, and up a little bit. But everything's getting pushed up. But that doesn't shorten the esophagus. Like, that's a big thing, is like you'll have the MD and they'll sit there and they'll tell the mom, the other birth provider, and say, don't worry, acid reflux is normal during pregnancy. Just take some Tums. And what that does then is that cuts the acid down even more in the stomach, decreases the absorption and breakdown of the food. Therefore, everything wants to come north instead of go south. It has to go south and be more liquefied versus coming north and more solid, which means it wants to come out of the esophagus, which is causing heartburn. But the other side of it is that if they are taking any sort of acid reducer in the form of Tums or anything like that, they're trying to put calcium in, and calcium ain't going to do a dang thing because calcium needs a high acid environment to be absorbed. So you're just casting the buck down the road, kicking the can,
colorful chalk,
and doing nothing to help your body out at all. Where if you just increased and got taken care of, because the nerves between the shoulder blades directly control the stomach and the lungs. And if we don't have the right communication there, that will cause an increase in heartburn. We see it all the time.
And decreasing meal size, just remembering that, okay, baby's starting to push on that stomach. And so we need to eat smaller meals, more frequent meals, snacking in between. Because again, like, baby's constantly growing and doesn't care what you're doing or what time of the day it is. They're just looking for that constant nutrition. And so just always having those healthy snacks available. And when it comes to a meal of, you can prep digestive system. So to get those juices rolling, you can take a supplement like Zypan to get the acid. And then so when you finally, begin to eat, it's going to be able to break that food down that much faster.
Yeah, and Zypan's hydrochloric acid supplements, good stuff too. We'll put a link in that below. Now, the other thing we want to look at too is that you hit on that is more meals but less size. So we're doing more of, I don't want to say it's more grazing throughout the day. Instead of sitting down and eating 3 larger meals, I would have between 6 to 8 smaller things throughout the day to keep your tummy fuller, but then allow for that nutrition to be there. But the other side of it is that nutritional habit has to carry over postpartum, especially when, like, next episode, we're going to talk all things breastfeeding and getting the breast milk right. So postpartum, though, we need to still increase and keep our protein levels up and keep those eating habits through pregnancy, through postpartum, after baby's born, to keep the nutrition where it belongs. Would you agree with that?
Well, postpartum, I mean, yeah, we're feeding baby, but after baby is born, nobody talks about mom.
Nope.
But moms, we need to, if you had a cesarean, right, that's super easy to see, okay, we have repair that we need to do. That's an outward thing that we can see. Okay, it was surgical, there's repair work. When we have a vaginal birth, you look normal from the outside, but there's so many things that need to be grown and repaired from the inside. And if we don't take that time to actually physically rest and nourish our body with the right foods, the healing foods, that only is going to delay that healing process in the inside. And then those are those moms that struggle then 4, 5, 9, a year out from baby, and I'm always tired. I have this heaviness feeling in my pelvic floor, or something just doesn't feel right, or maybe I have a prolapsed uterus, because we didn't take the time to truly let our bodies heal and rest.
Didn't take the time for rest. And I really want to talk about that in a future podcast, is about pelvic floor health, because there's tons of pelvic floor therapists popping up out of the woodwork now. And we'll get into that about training and stuff like that, because it's important for our moms to understand both pre and postpartum, and then building themselves up for the next pregnancy and making sure that they're healthy between pregnancies, so for their next one. Now, one of the last things that we see coming into the office, now there's a lot of things from low back pain to sciatica, and sciatica, again, is pain down the legs. We see that a lot, pain into the buttocks. That comes from that imbalance of the pelvis. But one of the biggest ones that I find completely debilitating, not on myself, okay, but is major pubic bone pain and vaginal canal pain, birth canal pain.
Let's just call it internal lightning bolts.
Into the vaginal tract.
Yes.
Yeah, into the birth canal.
Oh.
You dealt with that with Peyton and with Brecken.
Yeah, it felt like I could shoot lightning bolts out of my crotch. Like that's what it felt like.
Lightning bolts out of your crotch.
Right, that's a visual. But like, that is, guys, that's literally what it feels like. And like, that's the neurology, but like, that is like, pubic bone isn't lined up, right? And it's almost like shearing each other. And oof.
Well, that's something that'll keep all husbands and partners away if you tell them that you're shooting.
You're gonna shoot a lightning
bolts out of your crotch.
Well, and that's the last thing that you want at that time, right? Like, that's, yeah.
But what that comes from is that pubic bone imbalance. Now, here's the thing: everybody will tell you, including your birth provider, unless you have a really good one, they'll tell you your pubic bone doesn't move much. No, your pubic bone doesn't move much. But here's the thing: your pubic bone moves between 4 and 6 millimeters. That's it. But here's the thing with that, and that we really need to understand, is if that pubic bone gets malaligned and imbalanced and can only move 4 of the 6 millimeters or 4 of the 8 millimeters, I've just decreased your range of motion by a third to a half. That's a massive change. If I stopped you from moving, if you're used to moving 10 feet in a day, and I said, nope, you can now only move 6, that's a significant travel distance change. So why is it any less important when I go from 6 to 8 millimeters of motion down to 4 and I can't move anymore? That's a huge change. And it's never taken seriously until moms come in. We have moms that come in on crutches, crying, can't move, bent over, and they have other care providers, including chiropractors, telling them that it's not pelvic related, that it's not low back related. And I'm telling you right now, it is nervous system related. And if we don't have the right communication and we don't have the right mechanical load going to the front of that pelvis, mom cannot move, and she will be in tremendous amounts of pain. So to sit there and take a cop-out answer and say, I can't help you, we're just going to have to deal with it, you need to pick up the phone and call us, number one. But number two is, I know I can help you. I know we can help you because we see it all the time. All the time. And it's not okay. And I get really passionate and upset about it because these moms are walking around on crutches trying to take care of 2 or 3 children. It could be their second pregnancy. Even if it's their first, they're not used to that pain.
You're never going to have
Freaks
another
them
child.
out. They don't want to go through that ever again. And that sets up another cascade of events where then mom becomes afraid to have the baby, actually have the birth. And that's scary, because now mom doesn't want to have baby, which is a massive block. And then mom wants to keep baby in. She wants baby out. But then she's going to go down the entire cascade of more of a medicalized birth, which for a mom is by her choice. We are not saying to her to not to do that. But she has to make an educated choice. And if she has a ton of pain in her pregnancy, the pain during delivery will be subconsciously brought over. And that's not okay. And I feel bad for our moms that have that.
The stories that we've heard of moms that maybe had 1 or 2 births without chiropractic,
Mm-hmm.
versus then maybe they're on their 3rd or 4th or maybe even the 8th baby.
Mm-hmm.
Just the stories of, man, I wish I would have known this sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, if we have that communication from the brain to the body, and the brain to the pubic bone, the brain to the uterus, the brain, and then postpartum, right, everything functioning like it should, the labor is much easier. Labor is difficult, right?
Yep.
We're not going to get rid of that. Labor is difficult. It is the race of the lifetime for you. But it can go smoother.
Mm-hmm.
It can be shortened. Delivery is easier, but recovery time afterwards for these moms when they are under really great chiropractic care is like they're complete opposite, 360 degrees different of after birth, and these moms are like popping up ready to go. But then that's where that warning needs to come in, that even though you feel great, we still need to take that time. We need to rest. We need to sleep in. We need to heal.
And some of the biggest things that you can do as a mom out there is, number one, find a birth provider, a chiropractor that's actually certified in Webster's technique, which you will find through the icpa.org. Find a chiropractor that actually has a certification in Webster's technique and not just been Webster's trained, because they teach us Webster's in school, but it's not part of the certification process, and it's not nearly in depth as to what the ICPA teaches. And then secondly, find the chiro in your area. So you can go to icpa.org and then click on find a chiropractor near me, put in your zip code, and it will help you find them. And it's very important, because I hear it all the time, where my so-and-so was trained. Yes, but are they certified?
Right. And so just like anything, like the yellow pages, people can write things.
Yeah.
So you just need to become informed. You need to ask the questions. Just because people show up in a directory doesn't mean that they have that training. You need to ask those questions. It needs to actually say something underneath their name.
They paid to be in that directory.
Correct. And so that's
Right.
what I'm saying. Just to make sure that you do your research, be informed on your choices. And like, we get many phone calls of like, hey, I'm in Texas, who do you recommend? We're going to start maybe looking at that website first, but that's where we have our connections, we have our resources of those other providers that we've vetted that we recommend.
Exactly. So reach out to us if you want to. Like, click, subscribe below. Share this with people that you know and love that would use more help with their pregnancy, more information. We're here for you. Links to the supplements will be in below. We'll put those down in the comments. You can click on that and look at some of the supplements that we recommend. Obviously, we would like a consult with you, or if you have any questions, you reach out so we can help you. And this was just a really awesome conversation, Dr. Julie. I love talking to you about birth. I think that you're one of the best. I think that I'm number 2 right behind you in understanding it. But even more importantly, I just wanted to say thank you for having our 2 children. And the two people in our lives that matter the most to us are our children, despite their age of 13 and 15 and a half right now, which is just crazy. But thank you. And you need to be very proud of yourself, because you're incredible. And next week, tune in. We're going to be diving into more pregnancy work, but even on the back end now for our moms of delivery, postpartum, breastfeeding. This is going to be a little bit of a series, and it's going to be incredible. So share it with your friends. Get more people onto this, because we can start changing lives. And if you're the person that makes the recommendation, you're going to change that life too. So do you have anything else you'd like to provide today, Dr. Julie?
That's it.
All right, everybody, go out there, get it done. Have a happy and healthy and wonderful pregnancy. Take care, everybody. Bye.